Hey guys, what's up? It's me again. This channel might be strictly for like Halo Wars 2 for now on. So what I'm gonna do is, excuse me, I'm out of breath. I just got done brainstorming, right? So in Halo Wars 2, how to play it. No one is really telling you how to play Halo Wars 2. They're just telling you what they do. Like they're not telling you the core fundamentals of Halo Wars 2. People like Team Respawn, right? They tell you how they play it, but they don't really show you. They don't really like. I mean, from my experience of watching Team Respawn, they don't actually tell you how to really um invest your economy. They just tell you that hey, you just need this amount of generators and this amount of supplies. But did they ever say something about this? Check this out. You know how the more generators you have, the more expensive it gets? That's a sign right there that it's all about supplies. Too much power is bad gameplay. So to balance this out, you want 2 to 3 generators. And that's why power nodes exist, because that's free power. That's why it's so important to capture power nodes. So here's the thing. Here's what I'm trying to say here. Um Counter units. Counter units, all you need is just 2 to 3 counter units. You don't need a mass counter units. I see a lot of players mass counter units. It's just like power. Counter units are just like power. The more power you have, the better it gets. The more counter units you have, the weaker the army gets. Counter units are just support units. If you have if your army is just full of hunters or cyclopses, you're gonna lose. I'm sorry, but you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose to infantry. You're gonna lose to air, but you're not gonna lose to You may not lose to. It's a chance that you're gonna lose to vehicle, unless if they're tanks. Unless if there are a lot of tanks. Now, tanks do a lot of damage, even the counter units. I mean, even to anti vehicle, they do a lot of damage to anti vehicle, even though it says heavy armor. But if you read the description, it also says heavy damage as well. So here's the thing: you want to balance things out. If you're going mass air, sprinkle a little bit of hunters or cyclopses. You know what I'm saying? 2 to 3 cyclopses and 2 to 3 hunters is enough. You don't need mass hunters and mass air. That's that's bad. That's really bad. That's not good. But this applies to anti-air too. If you have too many anti-air, you have no DPS. There's no damage at that point. Weavers are bad against everything but air. But even okay, let's say this. You have an army full of weavers, right? But guess what? They have an army full of air. You're countering the air units, right? But if you didn't notice, your weavers are getting taken down one by one, even though you're countering air units. Why is that? Because you over invested on anti-air. You didn't invest in ground units. You have to follow the rock, paper, scissors concept. The rock, paper, scissors concept doesn't stop. The rock, paper, scissors concept still applies to you as the player. So if you just go mass anti-air and no core units, which beats air, right? Core units, right? Core infantry beats air. They beat them, but not alone. Is the thing. Core infantry units, right? Beat air in one condition. They beat them in one condition. The more infantry you have, right, against air, the harder the counter. The harder the counter. But if there's no anti-air, right? If there's no anti-air units, then it doesn't matter how many, infantry you have. You're going to lose that fight because there's not enough anti-air. And what I mean by not enough is like you at least got to have like 2 to 3 anti-air. They can't just be, infantry. So what I'm really trying to say here is you need balance. You need a little bit of both. You need more. You know how when you spend a good amount, like 150 supplies on supply pads. Guess what? It doesn't matter how many supply pads you have. The game doesn't punish you. It doesn't punish you for, building a lot of supplies. It doesn't, which is a sign right there that you need more supplies. Now, what am I trying to say here? What am I really trying to say here? I'm trying to say that core units are called core units for a reason. They're the main army composition that you should be maining. You have to choose which army you want to main. Core air, core infantry, core vehicle, you choose. But you have to cover their weaknesses too. You have to at least cover their weaknesses. Like if you're going core infantry, sprinkle a little bit like 2 hunters, two cyclopses. That's all you need. That's literally all you need. If you don't believe me, try it yourself. You know what I'm saying? Try it yourself. Go on Halo Wars 2, face an AI, and if the AI is going vehicle, right, and you have mass infantry, sprinkle a little bit of anti-vehicle. 2 to 3 anti-vehicle is good enough. The game will reward you for compromising. So that's all I wanted to say in this video. If you want me to make more Halo Wars 2's videos, just hit the like button or comment on this. Just comment you want more Halo Wars 2 videos. Do what you want to do. But I'm making this video because I feel like, there's not enough, people out in the world that spotting this strategy. This strategy is the perfect strategy, but the pros are not telling you that though. So I just wanted to point that out. And by the way, in 3v3, I'm diamond. I'm not Onyx just yet because I'm always paired up with bad players. They always they're always mass anti-air. They're always mass, artillery. Even with artillery, mass artillery, right? Mass sieging, that's bad. That's also a bad strategy because you're defenseless. All that mass, siege, that could have went to mass air. And by the way, mass air beats siege. So you're vulnerable. You're vulnerable at that point. And who's going to protect it? I would say anti-air. But you don't have enough, space to make more anti-air. You see the problem here? You see the problem? The problem with mass sieging? You see the problem? Siege units, they take a good amount of space for everything else. So, in the campaign, when you play the campaign, you don't see mass siege. You don't see mass sieges. And the objective is to get 3 sieges into one spot or 4 sieges. 4 sieges is a little bit too much, though. I would say that's a little bit too much. I would say 2 to 3 sieges is good enough. Just like power. You know what I'm saying? You have to compromise, man. You got to strategize. You got to have enough for everything. And if you don't, that means you're doing a little bit of too much of something. And either you have too much counter units, or you have too much siege, you have too much healers. You know what I'm saying? But you can never have enough of core units. That's what the game wants you to do. Have mass core units. That's what the game wants you to do. That's what win fights. That's all I gotta say. Peace out.